piece that Taylor wrote. This was Keith Blaney's idea, which I think it's a wonderful idea, and I love this piece. He did it here one holiday show. I was born in Los Angeles, in a house, in a canyon, that was in a nest of palm trees that casted these thin, unmoving shadows like prison bars. It was very California Gothic. I am very California Gothic. I am the child of those people that you used to see in the ads for cigarettes in the back of Life magazine. Those handsome people that were always wearing terry cloth robes and penny loafers, smoking cigarettes, looking like they just heard the funniest joke of their life. The Marlboro man met the Virginia Slims woman and had me. It's very California Gothic to have your best friend's mother, who is a movie star, keep her cracked Oscar in the kitchen next to the salt and cumin and coumadin. It's very California Gothic to see Joan Didion crying at the wheel of her green Jaguar on Moore Park below Ventura. It's very California Gothic to have a cousin who is a rock star. My cousin is Chuck Negron, the lead singer for the group Three Dog Night. And he bore a startling resemblance to Charles Manson.
Now, when you're a kid like me in 1970, growing up in Los Angeles, you knew that you shared the city with Charles Manson and his family. Because that grisly, murderous night of mayhem and helter-skelter was all anybody could talk about. And for those of you who are too young to know what helter-skelter is, it's kind of like twerking with blood. And it was really scary, really horrifying. And my parents, they were always going out on the town. They were just getting dressed up and leaving like madmen, right? Like in Mad Men. They just left me alone. They just went out. One night, my father came in and he said, I want you to close all these doors and windows. I don't want these hippies to come in here and de-gut you. You heard him. That was an option in my childhood, to be de-gutted. And it left me a tremendous psychic scar on my life that has stayed with me forever. And I'm still very disturbed by hippies and long hairs and headbands and large candles and beads and bandanas. I just don't like any of it. But I was only 12 years old. I was a tween. I was a changeling. I was changing into a man. But childhood is a place where your fears are disproportionate. They're huge. But then so are goals. And that's where the magic can happen, in these goals. And my goal when I was a child was to own a gorilla. A monkey or an ape. Anything from the monkey-ape-gorilla family. I just wanted someone to, be able to play hide-and-seek with, swim, shoot dice, light ironing. And my parents were these really emphatic kind of ghetto people from New York City, right? Who didn't like animals at all. And my mother said, look, you will never, ever see a monkey walk through that door. But something very magical happened that Christmas of 1970.
You see, my Uncle Ishmael, that was his real name, Ishmael. He was a trucker. and he had his own flatbed truck, which meant that he could follow other people around who had flatbed trucks and pick up what fell off theirs. And one day he was closing down this raggedy-ass Circus Vargas in the Hollywood Bowl parking lot on Highland, and he came across a monkey that somebody was throwing out. A live monkey named Carol. 2 R's, 2 L's. And we knew that it was called Carol because it had its own cage with its name on it. And that is what changed the deal with my parents, because they're emphatic New Yorkers. So they said, well, if it's free and if it comes with a cage, well, what harm can it do? Well, Carol came to the house. I was so excited. Carol arrived on that flatbed truck on a pile of grapefruits in his cage. And when I went out there and greeted him and I looked into those big, round eyes, I knew that I would understand everything that monkey had to say to me. And that I would experience unconditional love. Well, the monkey promptly squatted, shot into its hand, and then threw it into my eye. Underpaw. Underpaw. I remember that one. And from the shadow, I heard the ice clink in my mom's drink, and she said, "That's your monkey." I loved my monkey so much, and I stuck with my monkey while everybody turned against my monkey. Sometimes they even pulled a sheet over its cage. I stuck with my monkey when my monkey willfully and intentionally fucked my grandmother's mink hat. And I took the blame. Carol was my most cherished early Christmas present. But Carol was not the only unexpected visitor that season. One Christmas night, the Santa Ana winds blew too hard against the glass in cold, frightening Los Angeles. I had fallen asleep into a deep Christmas sleep, and I looked out the window, and I saw a van. It pulled up in front of the house, turned off, just stopped. Nothing happened for 30 minutes. Nothing happened. And I thought to myself, this is it. This is my nightmare. It's going to come true. And I thought to myself, at least I made it to 12.
Then I looked out, and the door opened up. And then finally, this plume of smoke rolled out, and these hippies came out on wobbly feet and started slinking up to the front of the house. As the cast of Woodstock approached, I felt vulnerable in my Charlie Brown sleeping t-shirt. And I waited for the physical and emotional attack to begin. There was a knock at the door. And I heard my mother's voice, muffled. I knew she was dead, throat cut. I'd read the papers. But then I heard her say, "Grilled cheese sandwiches for everyone." And I thought, why was my mother giving Protein to a serial killer? Then there was a blast as my father came into my room and he said, "Your cousin Chuck is here. Come down." And I timidly followed my father down the stairs to see in the living room what appeared to be Mama Cass Elliott, Jim Morrison, and assorted long hairs devouring Christmas cookies. My cousin stood shyly, holding a 3 Dog Night album by the stereo. And he told us he was going to play a song for us that no one else had ever heard before. Side 1, Song A. Jeremiah was a bullfrog, was a good friend of mine. I never understood a single word he said, but I helped him a drink of his wine. And on that cold, windy night, everyone stood up and started to dance. My father grabbed my mother and they started to dance. I looked over and Jim Morrison, the Jim Morrison, was dancing the jitterbug with my grandmother on the coffee table. It was extraordinary. It was so magnificent. The hippies and long hairs were all singing along to choruses of "Joy to the world, all the boys and girls now." And then the song was over, and someone picked up the needle and put it back at the beginning. And the song continued, and the dancing continued. And there's something emblematic about certain California Christmas memories. And here is one that is transcendent. Rock and roll. And this is what made my monkey legendary. He came down, hurtling down the stairs, and went right up to the stereo and started dancing. Had we forgotten? Carol was a circus monkey. And this was his cue. You know I love the ladies. I love to have my fun. His arms outstretched like rubber bands, and he started picking off the ornaments from the Christmas tree. Love to have my fun. The monkey started to juggle. I'm a high night rider and a rainbow flyer, a straight shooting son of a gun. I said a straight shooting son of a gun.
I wish you were all there to see and have seen the expression on those stoned, on what we later found out on LSD, those hippies my grandmother and Carol rightfully claimed their place in the spotlight. Glee is a very good word to use because it was pure happiness. Glee, because I was 8 years old and I was alive and I had escaped Manson's knife. And I had a monkey with talent. And as everybody danced, and as everybody ate cookies, I looked at my family. I looked at these people, and all of their crimes, past, present, and future, seemed to just spill out and dissolve into the contours of our blue shag rug. And as Carol balanced an ashtray on his nose, and it was as though I was looking into my future because I realized all the glorious things that had happened with music and joy. And that Christmas, the last one that I was ever a child, I learned a very important lesson that I'd like to pass on to you all tonight. And that's that no matter how horrible your day is, and no matter how scary your night is, everything can turn on a dime and with a knock on the door. Taylor.
To the world. Oh, the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Oh, the boys and girls. Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Yeah. Woo. That was amazing. That was amazing.